Jennifer Lee Daugherty was an American woman who was murdered in Greensburg, Pennsylvania as an act of revenge in February 2010. Dougherty, who was mentally disabled, was tortured and murdered before being wrapped in Christmas decorations, put inside a garbage can and dumped in the parking lot of Greensburg-Salem Middle School. Amber Meidinger met Melvin Knight at a homeless shelter in Washington in January 2010. They moved to several locations before settling in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, where they met Jennifer Dougherty. Knight met Ricky Smyrns after meeting previously in jail. Melvin L. Knight was born to a drug-addicted father who was imprisoned during the early years of his life. He developed lifelong learning and social problems after he fell out of a moving vehicle and hit his head at age 5. Angela Lynn Marinucci, according to testimony by her mother and half-sister, suffered a head injury when she was hit by a truck in 2008 at the age of 15. The injury substantially altered her behavior and pushed her into a downward spiral that ended with Dougherty's death, according to the defense. 2 mental experts testified that Marinucci as a child suffered from depression, and that she may have had a drug and alcohol problem as a teenager. Meidinger told jurors at some point, "She trusted me because she knew me from the West Place, a center for people with special needs." Meidinger testified she and then boyfriend and co-defendant Melvin Knight met Smyrns on February 8, 2010 after she and Knight had been staying at a Greensburg area hotel. Knight and Smyrns knew each other after meeting previously in jail, and Meidinger was pregnant with Knight's child at the time all three met up. Smyrns offered Meidinger and Knight to stay at his apartment at 428 North Pennsylvania Avenue in Greensburg. Ricky Vin Edward Smyrns was born to a drug-addicted Philadelphia prostitute and a Pittsburgh gang member. He was moved into and out of foster homes as a young child and was treated for mental health disorders as early as age 4, and he suffered abuse and neglect until he was taken in by the Smyrns family in North Huntingdon at age 10, according to a testimony by forensic psychologist Alice Applegate. His lawyer, Terry Faze, told the jury that Smyrns suffered sexual and physical abuse from his father and his uncle. She also explained how he had undergone 103 therapy sessions by age 10, tried beer, cocaine, heroin and marijuana by age 6 and had been diagnosed with PTSD at age 8. She added he was diagnosed as having as many as 7 different personalities and 15 total psychiatric issues. In 1997, he burglarized his neighbor's home and stole knives, guitars, coins, bullets and cash. That same year, he sexually assaulted a woman in her basement. According to a testimony by Meidinger, the group went through her purse, stole money, gift cards and her cell phone, poured liquids into her bag, hit her on the head with filled soda bottles, cut her hair, painted her face with nail polish and dumped liquid and spices on her head. Meidinger said she and Angela Marinucci took turns violently hitting Dougherty with a metal towel rack and crutches. She also noted that Dougherty was stripped naked, gagged and sexual abused by Knight. They also forced her to consume feces, urine and detergent. Meidinger also said Knight took Dougherty to the living room where Marinucci poured a bottle of water over Dougherty's head and Knight and Smyrns dumped oatmeal and spices on her head. Dougherty said her eyes were burning, and Smyrns told her to take a shower because she smelled badly. According to her relatives, Dougherty had the mental abilities of an adolescent, she trusted everyone, and she had thought that the suspects were her friends. Dougherty's last words were a note to her mother that said, "Mom, I hope you have a good day at work and I love you very much. Love, Jennifer." According to his testimony, Masters helped Dougherty retrieve her clothes that Knight and Smyrns had stripped from her and tossed out a window on the first day of the beatings. Before Dougherty could get her clothes and get out, Knight and Smyrns returned to the apartment at 428 North Pennsylvania Avenue. As a result, the group voted to kill her. Miller decided to tie her with Christmas lights. They forced her to write a fake suicide note and then stabbed her to death. Smyrns gave a steak knife to Knight and stabbed her chest and throat. Her body was put inside a garbage can and dumped in the parking lot of Greensburg-Salem Middle School. Marinucci told police officials that Knight and Meidinger drugged her before stabbing her. Several witnesses claimed Marinucci planned to kill Dougherty several days before the rest began planning. They testified Marinucci overheard her boyfriend, Smyrns, calling Dougherty and telling her that he loved her and wanted to marry her. During Smyrns' testimony, he told jurors about the love triangle between Dougherty, Marinucci, and Smyrns. At the start of the trial on November 3, 2010, the prosecution was seeking the death penalty for Smyrns, Knight, and Meidinger. However, as of August 1, 2019, Knight and Smyrns are the only convicts on death row. Several jail inmates testified that Marinucci planned to kill Dougherty several days before her body was discovered. Neighbor Anthony Zapponi heard Marinucci say, "I'm going to kill that bitch." He was also sentenced to jail for an unrelated burglary charge. Tina Warwick testified Marinucci told her she was disappointed with the type of Christmas garland Miller purchased to tie Dougherty up and dump her body. Floria Hedden heard body slamming and screaming on February 12, 2010. Felicia Hardison, who was a cellmate and friend to Marinucci, testified that she was jumping on her bed, excited to be on the news. Masters and Meidinger reached a plea bargain to testify. On April 12, 2012, Knight pleaded guilty to first and second-degree murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit murder and kidnapping. On August 30, 2012, a jury deliberated several hours before voting to put Knight to death. In September 2014, Knight appealed his sentence. His trial was delayed several times, and his sentence was upheld in March 2019. In November 2020, Knight attempted to appeal his sentence via the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. The appeal included statements and claims that jurors acted with passion and prejudice and arbitrarily imposed the death penalty. However, it was unanimously rejected by the judges. On August 3, 2011, Marinucci was formally given a mandatory life sentence without possibility of parole after being found guilty in May of first-degree murder. As she was 17 at the time of the crime, she was ineligible for the death penalty. Angela Marinucci had her life without possibility of parole sentence revoked due to the 2012 and 2016 Supreme Court rulings Miller v. Alabama and Montgomery v. Louisiana. However, on July 1, 2015, a jury decided to re-sentence her to her previous sentence. Marinucci refused to answer any questions before she attended. On December 4, 2013, Amber Christine Meidinger was sentenced to 40 to 80 years in prison after pleading guilty to third-degree murder, kidnapping and conspiracy. Meidinger filed paperwork in November 2019 with the state's Board of Pardons, seeking early termination of her 40 to 80-year prison sentence. Amber Meidinger almost received the death penalty until she agreed to testify against the others. Westmoreland County District Attorney dropped his effort of the death penalty. Her defense attorney, Tim Dawson, questioned why she wanted to testify. During the testimony, she admitted she lied about the state of her mental health. Meidinger falsely told police officers she had mental issues. Peggy Darlene Miller was sentenced to 35 to 74 years. On February 28, 2013, Smyrns was sentenced to death. Smyrns appealed his sentence. In February 2017, a judge upheld his death sentence. His execution was delayed in July 2017. Robert Loren Masters Jr. pleaded guilty to third-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder and conspiracy to commit kidnapping on December 19, 2013. Masters was sentenced to 30 to 70 years. Masters' attorney, William Galashan, helped Masters reach a plea bargain against the other 5. After he agreed, he was moved to another jail for protection because other suspects were being held there. He did not publicly share any information related to the plea bargain.